So this is securing sponsorships as a first-time hackathon. So, just a brief introduction. My name is Alex Lowe, and I'm the founder and lead organizer of Hackathon XI, which is set for this September and expected to be possibly one of the largest high school hackathons in the country. Our budget is $50,000, and so far we raised around $10,000. Today, we'll be going through the process of securing a sponsorship step by step from start to finish, and what happens in the context of a first-time hackathon differs from a more established hackathon, and specific advice to make the process smoother. So, here's an outline of the sponsorship process that you will usually see across every potential sponsor. This can take months, and a lot of companies actually just straight up say that if your event is already a month away or something like that, then they'll ignore you, and even more companies have specific budgets for sponsorships that fill up really fast, or maybe they say that as an excuse. So, it's really important to get started on sponsor outreach as early as possible. So, for the email and the prospectus, in both of these, your primary goal is to provide basic information on the event. What it is, when it's, where it's being held, and how they can help. And really just give them a reason to support you. Because your hackathon is not really well known, you want to avoid sounding like an infomercial or a robot, and instead give them a more personal reason to support you. So for Hackathon XI, that was in saying that our mission is to offer an experience of the same quality to an audience of high schoolers who are normally not allowed to go to the top collegiate hackathons. If you are familiar with what a prospectus is, it's a document that's a few pages long with some information for potential sponsors, and a lot of companies ask for this, so I think it's really important that you have it ready beforehand. Because you can just make some edits to the one from the previous year and call it a day, I suggest taking a look at other hackathons for inspiration. Not everyone has this public, but if you like the Mappers presentation, I'd be more than happy to share a list of ones that we reference while developing our prospectus. A common event that you'll see is that they have a table of benefits by tier or how much is donated. And in my experience, I found that you shouldn't really stress this too much because it's not the primary factor behind a sponsor's decision making. On to initial contact. So usually you'll see three main methods of outreach, which I've noticed have an inverse relationship between accessibility and success rate. So what this means is, for example, cold emails will be your most common option, but it's maybe around a 2% success rate. For finding companies in cold email, you can take a look at sponsors on other hackathon websites and then posts, and after a while you start to recognize those sponsors are potentially a good opportunity. Smaller local companies are typically more inclined to read and respond to your emails, so definitely try to find those. In my area, the DMV or DC, Maryland, Virginia, I know there are a lot of local tech companies, but they're not as easy to find as some massive tech giant like Google, which by the way probably sees like thousands of exact same requests every single day. Dedicated sponsorship forms might be a little bit more successful because it means that the company does do sponsorships. However, with the same research I just talked about, there shouldn't be too much of a difference. Established hackathons will normally rely on connections more, but because they have the previous sponsors and the faculty, the department, the school, their internship connections, etc., etc. But for first-time hackathons, this is usually a hit or miss because we have to go through that actual person and it might get lost in the bureaucracy. And it really depends on who that person is and how much they're willing and able to help. So the hardest part of this entire process is getting your foot in the door with initial contact, and the hardest part of that is just reaching out to the right person and making sure they even read your message. So that's why you should choose the correct method of outreach on a case-by-case basis. And while you do all this, I suggest having a spreadsheet of each company, what the status on them is, and some other stuff so that your organizers are all on the same page. So let's say you got a response, now you should immediately be able to tell which sponsorships are worth pursuing and which ones are just remarketing for the other side. This would be something like if the final offer where you put their logo on your website and shirts, show a video for them at the opening ceremony, maybe they get a social media post or an email sent out, and what you really get in return is that the winning team who uses the product gets some free credits. And this is a perfect example of a sponsorship that is not favored towards you. It's not always as clear as this, but usually anything involving only free credits towards your product is not the best since you want cash. On the other hand, if your contact responds with a requested call, then definitely take that because it shows there's an actual human on the other side interested in supporting your event. And I'd say usually a questionnaire response means the same thing. As a first-time hackathon, you are at a disadvantage, or we were at a disadvantage here, because we don't have anything from previous years to show, like stats or experience, but each one will present yourself in the best light. So, for example, when companies ask if this is our first year, I of course answer yes, but I also add on that our organizers have a lot of experience attending hackathons, which translates over to organizing. Alright, I'm going to speed through the rest of this because I don't have that much time, and getting in front of the door is really the most crucial part. For negotiation, there's not much room to negotiate on monetary amounts, especially as a new hackathon. but you can take a look at what companies have previously offered to other hackathons through dev posts and counter-offer as you see fit. Really just use speculation for this, but don't expect any crazy back and forth like with jewelry or something. For finalization, some sponsors have a contract or something similar to sign, but most parts has an informal agreement over email. When reading over the terms, make sure you're clear with whether they want to send a representative or a judge or have a social media post. And also be aware that some sponsors will only send funds to you after the event, in which case they'll likely have a contract. For fulfillment, you of course actually want to get the funds into your account as soon as possible. Hackcon XI being a high school hackathon uses Hack Day, which makes it really convenient to receive payments, but whatever you end up using, make sure that you have tax documentation ready, since a lot of sponsors don't really donate to tax-exempt orgs, such as LC3, K-12, etc. For your end of the video, make sure you keep communicating with the contacts, especially if you're doing a workshop or sending people to the event. And also throughout this process, you want to make sure that you're maintaining good relationships with sponsors for future iterations of your event to come. And with that, thank you all so much for listening. I'd be happy to talk more with anybody about this or Hackcon XI, or really anything. Otherwise, best of luck with your organization journeys.